We'll get in there. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Mechanics Institute Tuesday night marathon of February 2021. I'm Abel Talamantes, chess director at the Mechanics Institute, and joining me as always is FIDE Master Paul Whitehead. How's it going?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little shot of confidence after that chess arena. I'm the kind of player that needs to play with confidence.
And Paul had his arena just a little while ago and had some strong competition. F Pawn was in there, Kyron Griffith, um, all kinds of tough players, and he made it out with a perfect score, 7 out of 7, I believe it was, and took down the arena and held on to the lead because Kyron was right on your tail. He was about to close out Kalen Melville and probably leapfrog over you, but I think it's safe to say you won it. He held on by a matter of seconds, and so you got to
That's fine with me.
keep first place. And it just matters that you won. And here we are. We got about 61 players for this Tuesday night marathon. Balanced between the two sections. It's actually 60 players right on the dot. Uh,
Excellent.
and let's just go to the first board. And here it is with Mechanics regular Jonah Bush playing white against Grandmaster Alexander Lenderman. And this coming out of a
Well,
French.
yeah, what can I say? I mean, this is, I guess, an exchange French, and Jonah Bush has gotten himself the two bishops, but in exchange, the pawn structure is superior for black. So in these kind of, technical positions, we've seen over and over and over again, this is where the strong player um, is ascendant. And, even though the position might be sort of objectively level or in some way, uh, you got, I think black's position is probably easier to play.
And before we go any further, just want to give a big shout out to our chief tournament director, Judith Starre,
Hey,
who
Judith.
who's starting all the games manually to give a real tournament feel to the experience here. Uh, the Tuesday night marathon, 2 games per evening, so this will be played over 3 weeks. The round one just started at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Round two will be at 8 o'clock Pacific time. So 2 rounds today. Game in 35 plus 2. And let's go to board 2 in the top section. And we are seeing it here with Gadir Guseyanov, Grandmaster, playing white against National Master Tom Mazer. And hey, Alexi. Alexi Root is in the chat.
Well, Tom had better castle and get his king to safety. This position is fraught with danger for black. I'm wondering why Gusenev didn't play e6. Maybe there was something wrong with it. Bishop e6, queen e5 looked crushing. Maybe black would have played queen g6. So Tom is, he's hanging in there. We'll have to see what happens. E6 is still in the books here, probably met by queen g6 again.
And in the chat, I just put an article by Dr. Alexi Root that just came out. She wrote about the U.S. Amateur Team West, which we organized, that was won by UC Berkeley. And
I
yeah,
read that article, and I wish I'd written it.
yeah. I mean, we were talking about what fascinating games there were during the Team West, and she took out 4 of those games and turned them into puzzles which there were plenty of games like that in the
Yeah.
Amateur West. So check out that article. Let's go to board 3. It is Jeffrey Wang playing white against FIDE Master Kyron Griffith.
And hello, Shanley, for joining us.
Hey there.
Okay, so Jeffrey Wang has done the sort of the thing you're supposed to do. Maybe when you're playing high-ranked opposition, he's got a position which he probably shouldn't lose. Black has gotten, of course, a completely equal game out of the opening, so it's satisfactory. But sometimes you want a little bit more if you're the higher ranked player. At least I always did. I was like, I don't know who I'd rather have in this position, black or white.
I wonder if Kyron sees these types of positions as like an even greater challenge, because hey, Mike Walder in the chat, he seems to get into these positions, but I'm wondering if there's an element to him where he sort of likes to challenge himself and sort of.
Well, this is kind of the Carlson thing, right? Give me a completely level position or, something to play for, and then we'll just do it. It shows a lot of confidence in your ability, and also, it's a necessary kind of ingredient to learn how to play these positions at some point, to play for them for a win. We've seen this over and over and over again, where the lower ranked player will get a position like this against the grandmaster Kyron or something, and they'll say, oh, it's even, I'll offer you a draw. And and of course they refuse, and and then the game goes on, and you have to prove it. These positions are even.
And moving on to board 4 of the top section, we are looking at international master Josiah Stearman from the UC Berkeley chess team, taking on
fantastic
Javier Silva.
Now, before we go on, why isn't Michael Walter playing in this tournament?
He wanted to take a little bit of a break because he's playing the Thursday night marathon.
And he's been doing very well lately, starting to really play up to strength.
Yeah. The theoretician. The book. I'm going to call him the book because he's knee-deep in books and study and...
Mike the Book.
Mike the Book, Walder. I like it. So what do we think here? Look at Javier with F5.
Or C5?
C5. That's right, yes.
Hey, that's a very interesting thing. I've been noticing a sort of I don't want to use the word, but a dyslexia about the chessboard. I've been seeing this constantly now lately. Where the players are saying C5 meaning F5 or something like that. It's an interesting phenomenon. I don't know if I'm just noticing it or...
Hey, look at that move.
That's a flashy move and didn't occur to me. And look at that, forcing the black king to another square like A7 or C8. I guess because E takes D5, rook E7. Probably don't want to go into that. Well, white has a big lead in development here. Black probably shouldn't have played C5 there and should have brought the rook into the game. You're taking chances when you open the game up against the better developed player. And
yeah.
So Josiah's trying to grab his chance here.
And
this is a player out for blood, Stearman.
And moving on to board 5, we have Stuart Katz playing white against Grandmaster Jim Tarjan.
Now these guys, is this Stuart Katz? These guys probably know each other from a long time ago.
They may actually, yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet they do. From a long time ago. before most of you were born. um, well, Black has a nice game here. Yeah, sure, for sure. Uh, oh. This is probably came out of a Roy Lopez or something like
It
that.
says Italian game.
Yeah, okay.
Two
The
knights.
Italian game, the Roy Lopez. Black is better here, probably. A
And
little with
go,
pressure, better development and pressure on D3.
going to board 6, it's FIDE master Eric Lee playing white against Adam Mercado.
Well, white looks like has a nice little edge here with a more compact pawn structure. Maybe play against the B5 pawn.
And unless my eyes are deceiving me,
Actually, D4 might win something.
there's someone in the chat that's playing in this tournament that just asked in the chat what the time control is.
Oh, what are you going to do about that, Mr. Tournament Director?
Man, I just call it out. He's like, yeah, G35 plus a little clueless. See, this is like a natural born chess player because his sole job in his mind is just show up and play chess, right? And then time control, right? But
I think actually D4 looks like it's winning some material here. The black bishop is without retreat. This is just going to win something here. It wins the bishop. If bishop A7, rook A5. So black's already probably lost.
And look at the position here. This is
white just takes the bishop. That's it.
This is Raymond Larden against international master Elliot Winslow.
Well, Elliot, you better trap that knight on H8 or your position's probably not so good.
That's a kind of a funny looking position, no?
Yeah, it must have come out of an English opening, one of those 4F5, E4 things.
And this,
I mean,
this is how
there are some chances for black here.
Look at that move. Look at that move. Is this like a common thing?
No, I don't know this. I don't know this.
Look at that. This is like sharp. This is
very sharp.
Yeah, incredibly sharp. What is, Alexi Root's like, yikes, what is Elliot doing?
Well, I mean,
but why didn't he like here? Was there something wrong with just taking that knight, or it's pinned? It's pinned. You can't take it.
Yeah, H6 might not have been the right move. I mean, white's playing very boldly with this knight H4 move. I'm not really, I mean, G6 looks safer maybe, but I'm not sure what happened here in this. So there was book for a while, and this, for all I know, this still might be some kind of book.
And here we have a new TNM player playing white. This is Alice Lee, national master. She's the #1 rated 11-year-old girl in the country. And she's actually the #3 rated 11-year-old in the country out of Minnesota. Alice Lee playing Vishva Nanoganda.
And what color is Alice?
White. Power of a point. That's a great name. I love that username. Power of a point.
Well, I mean, black looks better here, to my way of looking at it, with attacking chances on the king side and the strong knight at D5. White is got to do something.
And we have a result already on board 2. Gadir Gusainov defeated Tom Mazer. This is what ended up happening here. Take. Wow, Wow, just
White is just dominating black here.
yeah, the game's over right there. So
Black
Gadir,
couldn't get his pieces out.
he took a while to castle. Castled on move 16. So that was tough. So Gadir
Yeah,
gets.
Tom has been having trouble with developing his forces
Let's
sometimes.
go back to board one here. This is the position with Jonah Bush and Alex Lenderman.
So black played rook e7 to guard against queen takes b7 mate, or queen takes b7, and now um, it's interesting. Alec Lenderman took on g3 when the bishop went back, and probably has a microscopic, well, knight e6, rook e6, bishop d5, queens come off. White might be able to hold that. It's close.
Yeah.
Black will have the e file, but I mean, we're talking about a very small advantage for black.
And looking at a game we were looking at earlier, Josiah Stearman against Javier Silva.
So the king went to a7, and then the bishop went to c6. Black got himself into real difficulties with the c5 move.
Yeah, he played that funny move, Bishop d5. Josiah did, and oof.
Well, white, the danger in this position is that you'll, even though you're better developed and everything, you're not going to be able to make the point, bring the point home. And so white needs to try to play very actively, very quickly.
This is going to be tough because in this position, can't white take the knight with the bishop?
And then play knight e5.
Yeah.
Looks strong. I mean, black will have to play rook f8. And then maybe bishop takes b5, knight c6 check, and knight takes e7. Yeah, something's going to fall apart for black here.
And
I think, or knight e5 right away, I like your move. Take the knight and play knight e5.
Check. Let's go back to this game because look at this. Like, have you ever seen this position in your whole life?
Probably not. So Elliot played pawn e3 and white played queen c1. And now f4. This is just incredible chess. It's like,
yeah, it's something different.
This is remarkable play. Elliot's really playing with a free hand lately. I mean, for good or for bad.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. For better or for worse. I think he's in trouble here, probably. He's down the exchange. He's pitching pawns and trying to get something going here, but queen c1 was kind of a nice move.
But even as he's trying to like launch and sort of break down the defenses, like his bishops are not developed and they can't get out.
Yeah, nothing's developed. This is just tough. I don't know what Elliot's doing.
Unusual. And let's take a look at this game. This is a couple of mechanics regulars. This we could easily see on any Tuesday night at the club. Kalen Melville playing white against David Rakonitz.
Oh, there's a nasty pin on the e file. Otherwise, I would say white is doing fantastic here. But this pin on the e file is something. How does white break it? Rook e1 is a start. Black can win a piece with, maybe even g5. I don't know. This is really strange.
And give a quick look at our under 1800 section. Top seed Aaron Nikoski playing white against Michael Janetta. 2 sections in the Tuesday night marathon, 1800 plus and under 1800.
This looks pretty balanced. White's got some more space than black. The knight on c3 is not protected, but there's nothing black can do to take advantage of that.
A lot of pieces have been traded in the top board, in the top section.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. That was Lenderman with his tiny advantage. Yep, this is what I said. Black took the E file. This is more of an advantage than it looks.
Looks like black is.
But white might be. Yeah, the king side is full of Swiss cheese.
Yeah, this looks like
this might just be lost. When you go down into an end game against a grandmaster, you've got to be careful. Black's going to play rook e2 check and not rook takes d3, I think, although rook takes d3 might, with a king march into h3, might win.
But rook e2 check, he'll just play back rook d2.
Yeah. So there's a game, there's a very famous game. Now I can't remember who the players were, but black took on d3 in a similar position and then played his king to f5, g4, and h3. And when white plays king to g1 to defend, right, he can only do king g1, king h1. And then black starts advancing the king side pawns, trades all the king side pawns, and then the king goes over to with the dominant black king. The king then switches over and wins the d4 pawn. So, I mean, there's actually a sort of a thematic win here, whereby the king march into h3 wins the game. Let's see if that's the path that Lenderman chooses. I mean, it's maybe a little bit more difficult.
And plays rook e2 check, rook d2 as figured, and takes. So he took he's just gonna.
So now he's gonna do it. I'll bet you the king is gonna go to f5, king e3, king g4, king f2, king h3, king g1, and then black is going to advance his king side pawns, trade them all down, and then take the king over to the d4 pawn. Believe it or not.
So, like, why do we even need to play the rest of this game?
This is right out of the textbooks.
Check this position out. We'll keep an eye on that game, but look what Stearman has done with his pieces. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, with taking on f7 and g4 maybe coming up. Black's rook is still out of the game at h8. Let's see, rook f8. Maybe white takes on e6. Well, maybe black is still kind of hanging on there. I guess white would try g4 maybe instead first. Rook f8, g4, bishop g6, then take on e6, or play h4 even, trying to play h5. This is difficult for black. White has all sorts of interesting ideas.
Speaking of difficulty here, going back to this game, National Master Alice Lee playing white. Vishwa Nanoganda.
Yeah, this is trouble for white. And this was well played by black, who after f4 broke with g5. That's very thematic here. White's crouching in a defensive posture. This is not good. This is not good. Better black pieces all over the place. This is going to be very difficult for Alice.
She's
Let's
she
quickly take a look back on board one. I want to see how that goes. Or the Lenderman game.
yeah, back on there.
So here we go.
And it just compels the king to G1.
Yeah, this is just hopeless. I mean, after King H1, well, I mean, actually, Black is even stronger in this position than usual because
Yeah, I mean it's you
playing H4 is just going to. And this is good technique on Black's part. You advance your pawns as far as possible, like with B5.
like this is way
That way they
lost.
get a little closer to the queen square.
You're just gonna play A3 and then F6.
Even if White could manage to exchange all the kingside pawns, he'd be lost.
And Judith is in the chat. Christopher Bradley is in the chat also. Thanks for
All right,
following
I
us.
think this is now becoming more and more clear, and Jonah is on the way to a loss against Lenderman.
And let's go back to the wild game that was Elliot Winslow's here.
Well, finally, Elliot managed to get some pieces out. And he's down the exchange and 2 pawns.
2 pawns. And we have another result. Let me just go back to that. Grandmaster Jim Tarjan closed the show against Stuart Katz. Let's see the ending.
Ooh.
There.
We're getting a Marshall-style attack here.
Yeah, I kind of missed that right there.
What happened here? The White's just completely falling apart here. No development, folks. Okay.
And another game, Nicholas Wang has won his game against Kevin Fong. He's just up material. Let's do a check on board 3 with Kyron Griffith because he looked like he was in a very even position, and now he's attacking on the queen side there.
And White's attacking on the king side. This is a very thematic play here on both sides. I kind of like White. I mean, all things being equal, this king side stuff looks a little more. It looks a little stronger than the queen side stuff. White needs to be careful. Probably should put his bishop on d4 pretty soon, but. Although then bishop g5, yeah, I don't know what's going, but tactics, you always have to pay attention to tactics.
And checking out another game. Here we have...
Mike Walter had a Hungarian grandmother. We learn something new every day.
Oh, wow. This is Alexander Perloff playing White against Alan Finkelstein, but looks like Black is got things under control.
Oh, absolutely. Exchange up and 2 pawns. Yikes.
And going back to Eric Lee's game against Adam Mercado, looks like Eric is up a piece. And he just hung.
Yeah, Black lost that bishop at c5, and that was the end of the game.
So he missed that.
Queen b5 is a nice killer move. Desperado.
Let's go back to Elliot's game. And Eric Lee has won his game.
So Elliot, if he can somehow snag that knight at H8, he can make a comeback here. And white seems to have maybe misplayed this. And Elliot is definitely back in the game here.
Everybody's king's in the middle of the board. It should be.
Well, I see Elliot trying to play queen e7 and castle on the queen side or something like that. And then snag that knight at h8. White slowed down here. Something went wrong. And I'm going to say that white is better here. Black is starting to look better here.
And going back to board one, and I think as predicted, well, this is going to queen right there. So Lenderman has got it done. He wins.
Right. Even without the G pawn, it would be a win.
Let's take a peek at Stearman's game against Silva.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, white seems to lose control of the light squares in that. And so G4 has been played. This is going to be very awkward after bishop G6 and then H4. And maybe even taking on E6 with the bishop on G6. And white's on the cusp of a knockout blow here.
And going back to Alice Lee and Vishva Nanuganda. Alice Lee playing white.
What's Vishna's rating?
It's like 18 something.
Well, this is just a devastating attack Black has here. This game went wrong for white.
Yeah,
somewhere along the line.
Something happened somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to misplay this, and that's white's hope here. If black's going to misplay this attack.
Wow, look at what has been played here by Raymond Larden.
Oh, yeah, so finally got an E4. All right, so that was the move that he had to try to play. The question is, can white get that knight out, or what compensation is white getting here? E4 looks, if it doesn't work, it just looks a bit like desperation. Black was starting to get a serious grip on this position. But I'm not sure how this helps.
Maybe he's looking to get in queen E3 somehow.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, but how? The knight's on G5. If white trades on G5, then there's a pawn protecting the knight on E4. I think this just went a little wrong for white. And we missed a couple of intermediate moves, but Elliot has bounced back. And maybe a lot better in this position.
Let's go check in on board 3 and see what's going on with Kyron Griffith's game.
So did Daniel Perloff win his game?
Good question.
Because he's asking what the prize pool was looking like.
well, there's more than one round. Number one, but them
chickens haven't hatched yet, Daniel.
But we will have the full prize pool. It's $1,000 based on 50 paid, and I think we've made that. So if you go to this link, you will see the full prize pool, and it's going to be fully paid. Fully paid. But we don't stop after one round.
So this Jeffrey Wang, Kyron Griffith game is looking very interesting here. I mean, white's going to play bishop h5 or bishop d3 and target one of these pawns.
Jeffrey Wang at 12
Well,
minutes.
I don't like this. I don't like this for black. I just don't like it for black.
It looks passive, right?
Yeah, I mean, this white has issues maybe if black, but all in all, this position looks very dominant for white. Bishop h5. Now, black can hardly move anything. White has to sort of find a good move here. If white can trade the g8 rook and infiltrate with his rook on the g file,
Wow.
black's going to be in some serious trouble. But
check the developments.
Very complicated still.
Look at this. Rook h5.
Jeffrey's played a good game. Okay, so rook h5. That's an interesting, yeah. It's time to do something for sure. Good move. Good move. Threatens rook f5. And white needs to do something fast. And this is the kind of thing that he needs to do.
And look at this game with Stearman and Silva.
Queen g7 might hold everything. So the black king is extremely unfortunately placed here. Gosh.
Sort of trapped in that little corner over there.
Right. What can black do? I mean, defend on the second row? That hardly looks like it's the right plan, but it might be the only thing that works here, or that even tries to work. I think counterattacking on the H pawn is hopeless. Allowing white to play rook e7 check just looks like how could that be good? On the other hand, passive defense is miserable. Even though black can play rook c7 afterwards and make the knight move away to e4 or something, white's still got a tremendous amount of pressure there. This is probably lost for black. I'm sure it is.
Let's go back to the action that is this game. Raymond Larden and Elliot Winslow. Elliot appears to have gotten himself in a little bit of trouble. Has sort of
Queen g7. What about Queen g7? I'm not seeing exactly what white would do. Maybe play knight takes d5, c takes d5, bishop b5, queen takes b5, rook takes f5. That's a possibility for white after queen d7. It looks like black should play queen d7 regardless. I'm not sure what else he can do. Oh, and the bishop is hanging at the end. That's interesting. Queen g7. Yeah. Instead, Elliot takes on c3. So white has a choice. Take on c3 with the pawn or play rook takes f5. Queen h4 check is also a possibility after rook f5. Maybe this is a good practical choice by Elliot just to take on c3 and then play queen g7 or something like that. All black needs to do is pick up that rook, that knight rather, in the corner, and he's probably going to be winning.
goodness. Look at
Yeah.
let's check on Kyron's game here.
Okay. That looks real. That looked like a very tough game. I always felt like after Kyron beat me once in the arena, I felt like, well, I can't really comment on his games because he beat me,
You're unqualified. You're unqualified.
But now I beat him, so now I feel like I can say what I want. And that's what chess is like,
At
you know.
least for
It's
a
like,
week. At least for a week.
yeah, at least for a week. You have to be able to say you got your shot in, you know. Rook to G1. There's that strategy that I was talking about with of exchanging the rook on the G line.
We have A3 check played.
So King C1 is bad. Oh, it's a nice little trap. A3
Oh yeah,
check.
rook takes rook, and then bishop H6.
Yeah. So King B1, and then what? Rook takes black. Jeffrey's playing the game of his life so far. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's a tough player. Always has
Yeah,
been.
well, I mean, he's got some real chances in this game against Kyron.
And Stearman looking to is bringing his pieces close, circling in.
So Black played the second line defense, and yeah, this is just what, rook e7 or rook d7 maybe. Oh, rook d7, knight f8. Okay, so rook e7. Yeah, that's another little trap that Black could fall into here. Oh, let's take a look at that last game because the Kyron game again, because Mike Walter just found an interesting sequence that I think is maybe true. Bishop h6, rook g2, so bishop f4. Black. Okay, so black pitches this pawn on d4. This is a nice move, I think.
What's the idea of that?
I don't know. I see a good move for white here. I think rook g7, maybe. If bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop moves, bishop f7.
Interesting.
What can black do on rook g7? Maybe bishop f4. Now the bishop f7. This is, I think black is, unless black can find some kind of tactic here, I think rook g7. Oh, he plays rook g8 instead.
G8.
And that might be good too, because the threat is taking on e8, I would say. Although that's not necessarily true because of the weakness of the back rank. But rook g7 was possible. Can white play rook takes e8 here? Rook takes e8, rook takes e8, bishop f7, say rook f8, bishop e6, then bishop f4, bishop takes d4. Black is going to have to try to get some cheapo in here, or what I'm calling a cheapo, or some shot in, some tactic, because white looks like he's just winning.
We'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at Alice Lee playing white
We're
here.
close to it.
And she's trying to defend this position.
Stubborn defense is the only thing that, but look at this. The threat is rook f3. The threat is knight f4 check. White's trying here, but it's tough. Very tough. King h1.
And the top board in the under 1800 section got a draw. So a draw there.
Who's the top board?
Aaron Nikoski got himself into a king and pawn endgame where no progress was made. Let's go back to Elliot and see what has happened.
King e2, king f4, king f2. Oh, well, I don't know where. Okay, so if bishop e4, rook takes d5. Elliot's opponent is desperately trying to find some way to extricate the knight or get something going here. So king d7, or king f8. That's, yeah, because queen e5 can be met by rook e8 now. I think this game has just gone south for white. This has been a save by Elliot, I think. And black is the two bishops versus the rook. In this case, I think the bishops are better, especially because black can play bishop e4 and plug up the e file. At some point, he should be able to switch to an attack. Quite a comeback by Elliot. That position looked dubious to the max.
That is for sure.
For a while there, I really did.
And look what has transpired in this game with Stearman and Silva. Stearman's got the pawn, extra pawn.
Well, you know what? The only time I ever played Josiah Stearman, it was a night ending, and I was up a pawn or two. So he knows this is a win this is clearly a win for white. He can use the distraction method, which is playing, at some point. Well, knight e8 looks good here. Now, black is trying to make some counterplay. That's what you have to do. Knight e8, king f5, g6 takes, and h6. Looks like it might queen the pawn. Or h6 and then g6.
Yeah. Or g6 and then...
And then h6. I think black probably doesn't have time to take the a pawn. And not only that, but black has no time. So some trick. Well, this just
that's a win.
Knight e8 check, nice move,
Stearman
and black is hopeless.
Gets it done. Congratulations.
Nice game by Josiah.
And look at this.
Black is going to regret that c5 move way back when. Should have completed his development. White's under a lot of pressure here.
That's a lot of pieces surrounding you.
Yeah.
Going back to Elliot's game.
This is Alice Lee. Who is Alice Lee's opponent?
His name's Raymond Larden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we know him. Or I know him from the club.
The club.
Pre-pandemic. Elliot's on the comeback. He's trying to put his house in order, and then black will switch over to an attack at some point.
Tough.
Still a little tough, though. This is
Tough.
not easy.
Go back to Chiron's game, see if there's anything been happening there.
Oh yeah, that was that. That's right. So many interesting games. Huh.
Wow, 2 bishops.
Wow. Chiron wiggled out. I thought he was losing, and now it's probably. I mean, this has to be a little better for Black because his king is better.
And
I think Black should maybe try to exchange the light squared bishops. The interesting thing about 4 bishop endings is they really favor the person who has the positional advantage, because they can try to engineer the exchange of either pair of bishops.
And white offered a draw.
Who did?
A white.
Jeffrey.
Yes.
No.
It was declined.
Yeah, naturally.
This is the sort of position I think Chiron loves.
Well, Black's strategy now is to try to trade these light squared bishops, but without white taking on e4 with the king or something like that. That would be a disaster. This is, this is not easy. This is not going to be easy for Chiron to win. But he might have dodged a bullet earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michael Walder's saying that he likes Black too. Sure. He's better king position, and White's got to always worry about this, But the only way Black can make any progress now is by trying to trade off this bishop. And Elliot has pitched the pawn at g4. Probably he had to in order to get the bishop safely on e4. And Black now needs to switch over to an attack with the queen b6 or something like that, and then just start whomping White with an attack. Queen a6, queen b6, something like that. I think White's probably going to succumb here.
Or would it help? Would it help him to sack one of the rooks for the dark square bishop or something?
Well, I mean, queen b6 right away threatens queen b2 check. I mean, rook g7. He plays queen a6. It's kind of the same thing, except for king c1. But then queen d3. This is White's just collapsing here. He's going to have to sack a bit. Sacking the bishop isn't going to help. I mean, Black probably won't stop to take it. He'll just keep, I think this looks like probably a forced mate now. Queen a2 check.
Oh, look at that. Ugh.
Yeah, it's forced mate. So
there has to be a nice discovery of something.
Yeah, I mean, White's just bishop takes g2 check and queen e2 mate. I'm calling it. Bishop takes g2 check, king d3, queen e2 mate. Come on in.
And the first part's been done. And welcome.
Well, this is quite the comeback by Elliot.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Mechanics Institute Tuesday Night Marathon.
We are doing fine. And
there it is.
We've got all the grandmasters have won so far. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty much all the No major upsets that I can see. Uh,
Alice Lee, though,
yeah,
is
that's one that's on the brink, and it looks like she sacrificed to get to a rook and minor piece.
oh wow, trying to set up the old blockade. Rook F, the F5 is probably a good move. If Rook F1, F4, Black should be able to get in here. I think this is, but White has struggled and fought, and that's what you're supposed to do, and make it difficult, making it difficult for Black, even though Black is still probably not doing too well here.
So back to Kyron Griffith.
White's chances are as good as they ever were.
To draw to hold this.
Was there another draw offer here? I mean, I think this is probably should be equal. If I'm White, I don't want to worry about this H pawn. I want to improve my pieces. Play King D3 or something. And if Bishop H3, King C4. If it works, of course. Let's see, King D3, Bishop H3, King C4, Bishop E1. Okay, so White defends the pawn at G2, but now Bishop F5, and Black's taking control of the E4 square, and he's got to try to play pawn E4 himself.
What
if he can, he's gonna be on the road to something good here.
And I think Kyron's going to exploit his time issue
as well. Sure. If Black can break the blockade and play pawn E4 without giving up the G4 pawn, I think it's going to go bad for White quickly. Well, this is White's issue here. Now Black is going to play King D6 and King C5 and pawn E4, and then pawn E3 check, and I think White's just busted. What can White do against this? I don't know.
And thank you, Real Inaki Zavala, for liking what we do, because pretty much ourselves on the broadcast, like you'd be talking to us like at the club or something.
So White plays Bishop F3, ready to give up the H3 pawn now, and I think the practical thing for Black to do is just to take it. Although he could play E4 and E3 check here with tempo. But he takes, okay. King G3. White's trying to break the block, to form a blockade or break through to the queen side. Bishop F1 check, maybe? King E4, King G6. I think White's on the verge of losing here.
Speaking of trying to form a blockade, this is the Alice Lee and Vishva.
Yes, that game had blockade hopes for White.
But now it's Rook and Bishop. Is it easier to form a blockade with Rook and Knight, or not really?
It depends on the position. It depends on the position. Couldn't Black have played pawn to E3 in that last position? This has got to be lost for White.
Is there
pawn E3, Rook F1? Yeah, E3 was E3 just won right on the spot, I think. Still the right idea. Bishop D4 is met by Queen D1 check. White's position is lost.
And back to Kyron. Oops.
This is good move by black. Not white has to play king h3 now, probably. King f1, queen h1 mate. Oh. I mean, the one thing black has to avoid is exchanging and white's king coming to e4. I think because I don't see a way that black would be able to win that position. This may maybe prove to be a tougher nut to crack than it looks. White has a problem with this bishop at g1, doesn't have a move, so he can't gain a tempo with it. He can't move it to. He's basically just playing with the bishop at e4 and the king at e2. So
White's got to feel a lot of pressure with his time.
yeah, and there's that too. Now white can play bishop f2 maybe in the right position as long as he can maintain, a blockade. This is looking more and more like a win for Chiron.
And he has the time to work it through.
King h4 looks good.
And
yeah, because then a bishop move is met by bishop f5. Bishop on the long diagonal, bishop to d3 is met by probably something.
And moving over to this game, because Kalen's got seconds on his clock against David Rakonitz. This would be a bit of an upset if David can get it done.
Black has a nice knight. Both knights are beautifully blockading their opponent's passed pawns. It's just, and it looks like it makes it an even game somehow. I mean, I guess white's pawn at d5 is weaker than the pawn at c4. So this looks better for black, especially if he can bring his king up quickly. A little better for black.
You just got to make sure that white doesn't get in king to d4, right?
Yeah, or black doesn't get in king d4. d4 is a crucial square for both players, probably. Yeah. If black can play king d4, he's going to win. This is a little risky for white. His pawn structure is going to be, but he's denying. Now it frees his knight, so white can play knight e2, knight c3. Oh, they're really playing gamble it up chess. Look at this
action chess. Like, is the knight gonna have to go to
b7 maybe
to kind of?
But then black will be threatening king g4. Oh boy, it's a can of worms. Knight b7, knight e4, and d6 maybe. This is really a can of worms here. I mean, it's chess. I'm sorry. It looks like a can of worms, but it's actually chess. H5, black. That's how can black do? Oh, it's knight e4 check. What's going on here? Takes, king takes, d6, c3, d7, c2, d8. Black queens with check, and we're into another kind of game.
Yeah, with
a queen end game where black queen's second, but he queens with check.
And David has time. He's got time. And
this looks drawish, of course.
Judith's asking if you go fishing, and did that inspire your?
The only time I went fishing was with my father many years ago on some boat where we went salmon fishing. And I remember him catching a salmon. But my father wasn't a fisherman either, so.
And Kalen low on time here.
This looks like it should probably be a draw.
I don't know. It looks like you just gave up a pawn there, no?
Yeah, why doesn't white start chopping pawns on the king side? Instead of letting black take pawns, white could have taken there first. Both kings are too exposed for this to sort of mean anything. Do you fish, Abel?
Not at all. And Kyron Griffith got it done here.
Is that right? Yeah.
Let's we'll go back a few moves. Yeah, he was able to push that pawn there.
Oh, and it was played out to mate. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Sure. Once black gets in e4, yeah, he just finessed him.
Nice work by Kyron. Going back.
Yeah. The light squared bishops got exchanged, and that was the end. That old schematic thinking here. Well, I mean, what? Black can play queen b4. It's probably this has got to be a draw. We're going to get another queen ending here.
Doing it again. How many queens have been promoted?
I know, but this has got this white now. Yeah, this is hilarious. Well, white's now better, but not by much. Careful, black. Don't move your king on the diagonal.
So, like, skewer is going to happen. This is where you get nervous.
This is, again, equal.
And
white's, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, kudos to Kalen, because quite often he'll get in time trouble and things will unravel. And he managed his time really well because he was at 3 seconds at one point. And Kalen offered a draw.
If I was black, I probably would have gone in the direction of the white pawn. But white's definitely better now. I mean, he can take both pawns. And only the computer knows if this is a win or not.
And David Rekonitz ran out of time.
Oh, yeah.
He lost on time.
That is sad.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Oh, both players exhibited a lot of nerve in that game.
And just seconds earlier, he was offered a draw.
Maybe he didn't see the draw.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe.
Because I'm a player like that. I'm not looking at the side of the board going, I'm not hearing, unless is there an audible draw offer that
yes.
you can get on chess.com?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, no, so it was David who offered the draw.
No, Kalen offered a draw moments earlier, and it was declined.
Yeah.
And Vishva won his game against Alice Lee. This is the ending, and that's a big upset.
Well, black had white on the ropes.
So Kalen said David offered the draw. So
I see.
Yeah, no way Kalen offered a draw there. I thought like earlier when the other queen had promoted, I thought I saw it. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was wrong.
The board was changing so fast, trying to figure out even who was better. When suddenly there's a draw, all these moves go by, and I'm like, well, what happened?
And is that all the games for the round? Oh, okay. David offered the draw. I got it. I can't be the only one right? Even if Kalen's saying that David offered the draw. I'm wrong. Everyone else is right.
I thought that game was pretty balanced. Kudos to the players for their fighting spirit.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think all the games are in for round one, and we will be updating the standings, and pairings should be out momentarily.
Do you want to take a quick break,
Yeah, yeah,
Abel?
yeah. Let me get something to drink, and I'll be right
Okay,
back.
and I'll keep everybody entertained.
Yeah, entertain them
How?
with song and
How am I
dance.
going to entertain people? Uh,
Song or dance.
right. All right, we'll see you in a bit. So, how am I supposed to entertain everybody? I was going to put on like sunglasses. um, Come and join us at the Chess Cafe, everybody. It's on Monday. Mondays there's the Chess Cafe at 4 o'clock, and yes, okay, sunglasses at the Chess Cafe. Whatever happens in Chess Cafe stays in Chess Cafe, and uh, there we have some very strong players: Michael Walter, Elliot Winslow, Grandmaster Nick DeFermian. We're being joined. I Salmatera, International Master Salmatera, I think might show up soon, and as well as random librarians from the Mechanics Institute and all kinds of strange people might show up at the Chess Cafe, and you'll hear a lot of stories, which is fun. I think for me, that's uh, the most fun about it. Yeah, I've played some famous players. I mean, the most famous player I ever played was Tall in some Blitz games at the Mechanics, and that's the most famous player I've played. Um, and yes, Tall lit my cigarette. I'm fond of that story. Uh, Unfortunately, there's no photograph of it, but um, he played in a Pan Pacific Blitz tournament at the Mechanics Institute back in 1991, and so other people that I played, well, I don't know. I played Walter Brown, maybe not, maybe more infamous players than famous, and yeah. And how about you, Michael Walter? Who have you played? And Alexei, who are your famous players? My most memorable game was probably beating Fedorowicz in 23 moves or something in New York at a tournament in New York when he's a grandmaster. I played a nice game, and um, I beat Larry Christensen once. That was a nice game. I liked that game. It was a very long technical game where he overpressed, and I kind of took advantage of that. Um, I beat Michael Rode, Grandmaster Michael Rode. He wasn't a Grandmaster at the time in the last round of the U.S. Junior Championship to tie for first with Sarawan and Fedorowicz. So I had my moments. I beat Jim Tarjan in the last round of the American Open to tie for first with David Strauss. Um, you know. So I'm qualified to sit here and criticize everybody's games. At least I think I am. All right, you're back. Abel, you're back.
Yeah. Why?
All right, I'm going to take a break myself.
What did you entertain them with?
With stories of how great I am.
Yeah, of course. All the people you beat.
Yeah, all the people I beat, back in the day.
All right, go for it.
All right, we'll see you in a
Yeah.
bit.
And Judith says we have the pairings posted. So I'm going to put the link in the Twitch chat. You can go look at it there. Let's see what we got for round two. I am looking at it. Alexander Lenderman and Alan Finkelstein on board one. Arthur Liu and Gadir Gusainov on two. Kyron Griffith and Nicholas Wang. That should be a fun match to watch on three. Daniel Lin and Josiah Stearman on four. Jim Tarjan and David Askin. And on five, Vishva Nanuganda playing Eric Lee. That will be a tough match. Elliot Winslow and Kalen Melville. Guy Argo and Jonah Bush. That would actually be a really good match. In the under 1800 section, uh, Giorgio Solias playing Jahan Ansari, which is fun to see him back because we remember him from the live TNM. Daniel Perloff against Patrick Donnelly. And the Zhao siblings, Michael Zhao playing Maximilian Katz, and Marina Zhao against Austin Bourdier. And Nicholas Brown and Sebi Suarez, and a lot of other matchups. So we shall have some fun matchups in round two. That should be starting in about 6 minutes. And fun. Team Whitehead, what is that? We are at T minus 5 minutes for round two of the Tuesday night marathon. We have the final round of the Thursday night marathon coming this Thursday. Thursday night marathon is one round per evening, but the time control is a little bit longer. It's G60 plus 5. And then we will be starting the new Thursday night marathon pretty soon. It should be in a couple of weeks. So if you like the long game, Thursday night marathon is for you. And we are recovering here from a long month of chess. We did the Pan Ams at the beginning of January. The U.S. Amateur Team West, T minus 5. Judith rubbing off on me with the T minus. I'm going to turn into a robot. And Amateur West at the end last weekend, we did the Amateur West Scholastic, and we streamed that. And actually, that was a revelation because we had a lot of people watching our stream of the Scholastic event. We had players from the UC Berkeley team in the commentary. We had Arjun Bharat and Kesav Viswanathan, and then we had Ashrita Swaran and Michael Wang. And then the middle round we had Lauren Goodkind, but it was absolutely fun to stream the kids event. I was telling Judith, it was actually funny because I think the kids that are now masters don't realize what they know, and we're watching Stuart Katz play a blitz game right before the round. But we would have Arjun analyzing a position, saying something like, "Okay, it looks like White played E5 because he's looking to go, Bishop G3, Knight F4, and all these lines." And we're watching games from people rated like 600 and 700. So there was part of me that was like, I don't know if they're seeing it that deep, but it was pretty fun. But the kids loved watching the kid masters talk about their game, watching their game on a broadcast, or the parents watching it too. So yeah, it was a whole lot of fun, and it got us thinking that maybe we should look to see how we can do more streams of kids events, and having the top kids come and do some analysis. That would be fun. So stay tuned for that, because we think there's something fun there to be had. Oh, we're watching Paul Whitehead's arena there. T minus 2 minutes to the start of round two, and I should probably get myself ready as the games. You're going to see the board look wonky on the screen. That's perfectly fine. Um, as soon as the game pops up, everything will balance itself. One minute to the start of round two. And the February Thursday night marathon, it's 6 rounds over 3 weeks. So next week 2 rounds, the following week 2 rounds, and that's a lot of chess. And actually, with the strong competition we have, I think even starting in round 3, things are going to get really, really tight, and then 4, 5, 6 is going to be an absolute bloodbath of players, just because there's so many strong players. And I'm not talking about the GMs and the IMs, or the FMs, but I mean, we got some strong kids in here. So looking to make some noise. And games should be popping up shortly. Good luck to all the players, and looking forward to some exciting games in round 2. And let me pull up the pairings. Oh, the game should pop up already. And Judith says it. Let's go. Let's roll. Let's do it. And here we go.
I'm back. I think I'm back.
Just in time, because the games are just starting now. And here we go with the first one on the list, Lenderman and Alan Finkelstein, who drew Gadir Gusainov at the John Donaldson Championship.
That's right.
In December. So Alan getting exposed to some top competition at the mechanics events, playing some GMs. And let's go down the line and see what we're dealing with. Gadir Gusainov playing Arthur Liu, who's expert, has directed some events for the Mechanics Institute. He actually was part of the crew at the Amateur West and Pan Am. And he's also streaming chess too, so a lot of fun to see him getting that off the ground.
Well, both players, I'm sure, knew this was going to happen.
And what
this is Gusanev's pet opening with black. Elliot has written about it in the newsletter. I'm sorry, Nick was written about it in the newsletter.
What do you think of this position, Paul?
This one right here?
Yeah. Who's winning after 2 moves?
Aaron's trying some new stuff. It's interesting. Let's see what happens.
Oh, look at that.
Nicholas is a talented player, is capable, I think, of and he likes to play theoretical stuff. So maybe Karen's trying to take him a little out of the book here.
And then going over here, we're just seeing what they're opening with. we're looking to see if there's any
Where's
craziness.
Tarzan's game? Okay, Smiley Face. Who's Smiley Face again?
Daniel Lynn.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
Versus
Tyrantus.
Stearman. And so this is some well-known thing here.
Yeah, Tarzan's game. Here it is. Playing David Askin.
Yeah, I'm glad Mike Walter is here in the chat with us because he can help me with the openings.
It's good to have a partner where their strength is your weakness, right?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, Kyron played the uh, center counter against me. I didn't know he was a center counter player.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that before. Seen him do it.
So what happens after Queen F3? Okay, so this is another book position out of the Carol-Con. Winslow, Elliot knows this stuff very well, and Kalen plays this like clockwork. Just all the time he's playing this opening. So he should know it pretty well. But Elliot's another theoretician, you know, so.
Absolutely. Oh wow!
Rubinstein French.
We have a result.
I said it was a Carol-Con, and of course it's a Rubinstein French. And Black takes back on F6 with the pawn.
This game's over. This is
and okay. Keep going. Maybe Mike Walter can tell us what White was supposed to do here.
Look at that.
And that's a blunder, obviously. Losing the bishop on c4. I don't know what. Yeah, we'll have to ask Mike Walter what was supposed to happen here.
Yeah, that was wow.
Gusenev is getting off very easy in these two games here.
Yeah, both of his games, like quick work.
Yeah.
Wow. And Mike saying you're talking about the Carol-Con in this game, and actually, what happened here? In Aaron Nikoski in his game, something happened. Well, we don't know if something happened there or not. We'll see.
Oh, it looks like what happened here?
I don't know.
Did White resign? What? Yeah, you'll have to do some investigation.
Yeah, I'm sure Judith's already on that right now.
Okay.
Let's go to Stearman and Daniel Lynn.
Now, so White didn't trade on b6, and now Black's got a fine game, of course. The White Queen looks ridiculous on c1. And White's it's gonna be, well, I don't know. I mean, White can play b3 and, you know, maybe harass this bishop at f5. But Black has got a nice lead in development. Black's trying to discourage White from playing b3. Because then Black will take and play knight b4 and come in on c2 or something like that. Black is a player who is very, very up on the tactics. So, you know, but White's behind in development here, and Black is really trying to squelch b3.
And then moving to this game, Vishva Nanoganda is playing White. Fresh off of a big upset against Alice Lee. His reward for that is he has to take on Eric Lee. So it just keeps getting tougher.
Well, this is obviously okay for Black. The bishop at b2 is kind of silly. White has the two bishops, but black can always take it back at f3 if he wants. And so black is certainly equal here.
And back to the top board. And I feel bad for Alan Finkelstein. He was part of a team at the U.S. Amateur West that played for the championship in the final round. He was their board 4 that was victimized by a nice tactical shot by Nathan Fong.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about rook to D, knight e3 and rook d1.
Rook d1, yep. Yeah. Rook d1.
Well, this is White slightly ahead in development, and I would call it an even game, but it's White still a little better here, especially with the better bishop.
Flip into Kalen and Elliot.
And Lenderman and Kusanev are very clever at, this is, Kalen. See, I did something different against Kalen. I kept my pawn on c3 and played b4 and a4. But this whole line strikes me as rather cheap for
cheap
black.
Line. You got a cheap line.
Yeah. Although it can be dangerous. Black wants to play h4 and sack the exchange and, have some blitz attack on white. And white, what I don't like about the c4 move is it weakens the d4 pawn.
And let's take a peek in the under 1800 and look at Daniel Perloff playing white against Patrick Donnelly.
Well, White's been forced to move his queen to b3 from c2. So this is probably going well for Black, who's ahead in development. White's still not castled. Maybe Black can make something of that. Yeah, now g5 and g4 or g5 and g4 look very strong here.
Wow, look at this. Look at this setup here. This is Vishwananaganda White against Eric Yuhan Lee playing Black.
Yeah, well, this is just what we talked about, I guess. White's played knight e4, and now Black's traded, and Black is probably better after bishop e4, bishop c5, or something like that. So White cleverly plays bishop d4 and trying for a bishops of opposite color situation.
So David Reconnaissance says, why are you calling Kalen's opening line cheap?
It's not cheap. I don't know it that well. I just trust it positionally.
If Paul if Paul doesn't know it, it must not have been worth
I don't know anything about the opening. So
cheap opening.
Knight f2, bishop f2. What are you doing? Knight f2, bishop f2. It doesn't work here. So it's knight g5 or taking on d4. I mean, knight g5 is probably the only way to create some imbalance here, is to move the knight. Well, White played this clever bishop takes g4 move, and so knight g5, bishop c3. Black's a little better, probably.
Look at Nicholas Wang and Kyron.
I really stick myself out on the line here, giving my opinion like this. It's not even a a considered opinion. It's a like I just blurt it out and hope that it's right, you know. Meanwhile, everybody else can like look at it, and I'm forced to speak.
well,
You know,
well,
it's terrible.
well, not exactly, because like when you don't know what you're looking at, you just say, yeah, let's go to the next game. Waiting to
There's
find
that
something.
too. Yeah. Yeah, this is this weird. I don't know what they call this. Carlson's line against the Sicilian, because Carlson was playing it for a while, where White plays knight c3 and g4 and takes with the queen, and sometimes plays bishop b5. You know, it's just anything works now. There's no such thing as theory anymore. It's all just, you know, playable chess, I think. And
Man,
so it's interesting.
that's actually a monumental. Like, there's no such thing as theory.
Well, there's no such really thing as
It's like a
opening theory in a
paradigm
way.
shift happening right here.
Yeah, it sort of happened with Carlson and the computers, where they just, you know, all these, you know, sharp lines that Kasparov and Fischer were playing, and Karpov as well. You know, even all the way up through Anand's reign, have kind of just gone. Now everybody's just pushing wood. They're pushing it better than they ever have, but it's still got this kind of
It's still wood.
wood pushing quality in the opening anyway.
There we go. Updating the round.
Anyway, that's my opinion, and I'm going to change it any minute.
There we go. All right, let's go back to the top and look at Lenderman Finkelstein.
Wood pushing is where you're not thinking; you're just pushing the pieces. Though you're making moves without thinking. But that's not, of course, not quite true either. Boy, so this is, you know, here we go, Queen A3. We've seen this idea even in one of the Fischer-Spassky games. There was this this move came up in the Queen's Gambit. The unprotected queen at D6.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
coming up is knight A4, and it looks tough for black all of a sudden here.
Gonna flip over to this game here, back to Kyron's game. Let's go to Josiah's game, actually. Take a look, because a lot of pieces and a lot of different squares.
That sounds like one of Josiah's games. No, I mean, black of course has a nice game. You know, it's dynamic. There's pressure on the C file. There's a possibility of getting some shot in with E5. There's even a potential passed pawn on the A file. So, you know, lots of things are stirring up here in this game. I like black's position, but, you know, maybe objectively it's still even.
Let's take a look at Tom Mazur's game as white. He's playing Raymond Larden, who gave Elliot a brief scare there in round one.
Some kind of French defense or something. Well, black has got some pressure on E5, and maybe can play H5 too at some point.
Look at this position. I'm flipping the game. This is Jim Tarjan and David Askin.
Is lowercase man 22 playing Lenderman right now?
Yes, that's why I switched the game.
Oh, he's in the chat.
He's in the chat.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You know, it's nice to see full concentration.
Yeah, when you're playing a grandmaster.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that. You want to try to, you know, give him your full attention.
And then Blizzo, hey there. Thanks for joining. And
Well, Tarzan is starting queen takes f7 check, so I have a feeling black's going to do something about that. I guess white's better after queen d5, bishop d5, and then black castles, and maybe white can play bishop takes c6 and double black's, or give black a weak pawn at c6.
so playing for pawn structure, right?
I guess. I mean, black looks like he should play queen takes d5 here, is my thinking, because, queen takes f5 is possible. White is threatening that as well. I mean, I guess black could play bishop g6 or bishop e6, but why not just play the simple move, queen takes d5?
Here's two mechanics regulars playing each other. We have Jonah Bush and Guy Argo. Let me flip the orientation there.
That's actually Guy Argo.
Is it Guy?
Yeah.
Like a French Canadian?
I've been for some reason, I'm watching some French television on Netflix or French series. I don't know if you've heard of these.
In French? Which series was
They're
that?
in French. Well, actually, the first one, I think it was, what was it called? About this thief, this famous thief in France.
Yes, I know the show. It looked good, actually.
Yeah, I
Was it
watched
good?
it.
Was it good?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think they're gonna have
then-
a second season. Lupin.
Lupin or Lupin or
Lupin. It's not Lupin.
And now we're watching another series, and I can't, of course, again, I can't remember it. It's Get My Agent, it's called. It's in French.
Get My Agent.
Get My Agent, or yeah, I think that's the name of it. It's about agents, agents to movie stars, basically, in fictional movie stars.
Sure.
Mostly fictional, although there have been a couple of real movie stars appearing, French movie stars.
Okay.
And it's a comedy drama. It's very funny, actually. I'm enjoying it. So far, no chess, though, which is disappointing, but
Disappointing. Or it's good to take a break from it, I guess.
so black's better here. Bishops of opposite colors, but the queens are on the board. And in terms of attacking, you want to, black is really ideally situated here. His bishop is secure on the a7 g1 diagonal. The white bishop is not secure because black can play f5. And this is Call My Agent, it's called. Okay, good. Thank you.
It looks like
This is tough for white.
someone else watching a lot of Netflix.
Yeah, just got started on it a little bit. There's some other shows too. I have to go get some books out of the Mechanics Institute library because now I'm watching more TV than reading books, which is not usual for me.
I know quite a few people that have had to make that adjustment of staring at a screen more than reading a book. How's it been for you? You like enjoying watching shows, or you starting to get sick of it?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm enjoying it because I'm just sort of beginning to do it a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got a fantastic book. I'll show it to you.
Yeah.
It's a chess book. I'm really looking forward to reading this. It's an old classic. I think a lot of chess players didn't like it because it's kind of merciless on the chess community in some ways. But
What's it called?
Idle Passion, Chess and the Dance of Death by Alexander Coburn. And it was a sort of a bestseller in its day, or somewhat of a bestseller. and it's about, chess and a Freudian psychoanalytic approach a bit to the chess player. The chess player is trying to kill his father and da 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 da. The usual kind
Yeah.
of thing. But it's very good. It's very funny, or intelligent and good. I like it.
Well, there's something about chess players that you have to be careful. I was just talking to someone today how, I remember when I used to have a group of friends that were chess players in high school, and we used to go play the tournaments together and do all of that. But, um, some of them ended up in unfortunate circumstances. One was committed to a mental institution. Another one,
Oh yeah, he
yeah.
talks about that. Oh, for sure.
And, and
And
and the thing for me that's like sort of related is that I mean I disappeared from chess for like 25 years or so, and then came back. And then when I came back, a lot of the people that I knew back then they're playing chess still in the scene. And
well, look at it this way. Look at it this way. If chess drives you crazy, or if you're crazy and you're attracted to chess because you're crazy, either way, it doesn't reflect well on the chess player, I think. And so they're stuck. But reading a book like this, as a hardcore chess player, you might feel like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I think that this book has mixed reviews in the chess community because of that.
well, I think as chess players that like where it's in the blood and you feel like there's nothing you can do about it. I think that's the feeling is like, what can I do? Right? This is who I am. Right?
Yeah, embrace your inner crazy chess player is what you're saying.
Agreed.
And yeah, sure.
So, where are the action games here? Like, I'm not seeing the action that I did in the first round.
Tarshan has nothing here, I would say. I mean, this just looks totally equal. Tiny bit of pressure by White, just because his pieces are more, his bishops are more advanced, and his position sort of has that feel of. But how can this be an advantage for? Here's Stearman is. Well, what's going on here is okay. So I see Rook C4, and he's going to take on A1, and then Black is going to be slightly better with the queenside pawn majority.
So that's what he's looking at long term. I got the
Yeah,
queenside.
and did I not point this out
Yeah.
many moons ago? But
The Oracle.
White,
Paul the
White
Oracle.
yeah, the Oracle. Black's position is sounder here structurally, but because of the weak pawn at B3. But there's a long way to go for Black to win this position. But there is that outside pass pawn possibility. So White needs to be careful here.
And going to
It's going to require accurate play to hold this.
Kyron and Nicholas Wang.
White looks better here. More space, two bishops. You know, more space to operate from here.
And going this game with Vishva Nanuganda playing white and Eric Lee at black. Eric is going after Vishva here.
Judith, I think Reka would probably enjoy Call My Agent too. I think it's very, very funny, interesting show too. So B4, and this just opens up a front maybe for Black on the A file. White's trying to get some counterplay on the B file, so double-edged. Double-edged. White's trying to get some counterplay before it's too late down the B file.
And then let
I
me
still like black here.
let's flip to this game. I was avoiding it a little because I know it's in the chat. We'll leave the commentary to, well, I mean,
Can we ban somebody from the chat that's in the tournament? We should ban all the players that are. Oh no, we can't ban them from watching.
you just want to, yeah, we why don't we just institute martial law? We could do
There
that.
we go.
But this looks bad for
Oh, this is horrible. This is white has three pawns and a rook
we can
for a
tell.
knight and a bishop, and black's completely undeveloped. Plus queen f8 check is threatened.
And Mike Walder says we could just tell him in the chat to resign because
Yeah.
he's reading the chat.
Oh. And where's the knockout blow? Alexander rook d6, winning the queen, and definitely
Very, very nice.
well. You know, there was that moment when you were in the chat when you could have been thinking about your move.
He's crying.
All right. Well, you know, you can't keep going over the same thing all the time. You have to move
well,
on.
I'm glad Judith's in the chat giving him some motherly advice. You should be crying. So, well, yeah,
It's funny. Chess is one of these games you want to enjoy yourself, but you've got to take it deadly serious as well when you're playing.
Yeah.
There's no, you know, I can guarantee that Alexander Lenderman plays a blitz game or a game at the mechanics just as seriously as he does when he's playing a U.S. championship game. There's no doubt in my mind. These guys, that there's a level of professionalism that comes in, that you're enjoying yourself, but you're still playing at your top level that
Sure.
you're capable of.
And
That's the difference between
yeah, I mean, that's
these
the
guys and the rest of us.
I mean, that's the champion's mentality, right? They
Absolutely.
right, they in every scenario they want to be the best, right?
Yeah, I mean, Carl, you know, even in, you know, some kind of banter blitz that Carlson is, you know, in or something, you can be sure that he's taking the game on one level. He's taking it extremely seriously. You know, that's why he's the world champion.
And I'm going to check this game from Guy Argo against Jonah Bush only because this arose from an Alekhine's.
This is complicated for sure. Black would like to play something like knight b4, knight d5, and knight e3. And white would like to play something like f5, f6, or f5, e6, or something like that. So this is very sharp here. You know, also black can try to play c4 maybe even here. Yeah. Yeah, this is tough. If I'm white, I'm tempted to just play f5 right away so I can play f6.
Yeah,
I kind of like black's game. Black seems to have the bishop on b2 looks bad, and white's a little disorganized on the diagonal. The bishop at d7, what's it doing? You know, is it going to take it's not going to take the knight on c6.
and
So this is looking good for black.
I do play the Alekhine. I don't know why I play it, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been playing it my whole life, but I honestly don't know why I play it. I think the only reason I play it is because a lot of people are not familiar with it, at least on the club level, lower level, or not as familiar as other stuff. And I like that aspect of it. But to be honest with you, more than half the time, I don't even really like my position, but I still play the Alekhine. So why is that?
Chess players often play with what they're familiar with.
Set in your ways.
or they just, they, in order to learn something new, you have to, make the effort to learn something new. And chess players, you're in a different capacity. You're not a competitive player anymore. So,
And what do you think of this position here with and Paul? I'll be right back. Right back.
yeah. Josiah has sacrificed a rook. Is that what's going on here? Oh, no, no, no. That's a black rook on the board. Sorry, folks. So black is trying to crash through here. If white plays rook f1, h4 is going to be threatening queen takes g3 check. Maybe white should play pawn to e4, sort of in the nick of time. If pawn e4, bishop takes e4, queen e3, and that might be awkward for black. Alekhine's defense is the most hyper modern of all of the defenses. Like in terms, it's funny because Alekhine was not a hyper modern chess player. He was a universal chess player. He was the world champion. And yet the opening that bears his name is the most hypermodern of all the chess openings. Knight f6 is completely a hypermodern idea. You're not only you're provoking the white pawns forward. You're saying, take the big center and I'm going to attack it later.
What other openings are like that, where you're provoking coming at you in order to create weaknesses?
You can say all of the Nimza, all the Indian defenses are considered, are kind of in the same thing, where black doesn't directly occupy the center, instead attacks it later with fianchetto bishops or pawn to c5 moves, or like even in pawn to b5, like in the Benko or something like that. So all the so-called Indian defenses are hypermodern defenses, and they can be considered to be at their root provocative in that sense, that it's not e4 e5 or d4 d5.
Look at this position.
Kyron plays takes. Oh, what's going on here?
This is in the under 1800. This is
white is a rook down, but black is completely tied in knots.
Shiv Sohal against Andrew Ballantyne.
Wow. Well, black is clearly tied up here. White might have this like very slow plan of playing something like g4, h3, and rook 8, king moves, and rook h5, winning the queen. I don't know. Funny position, very funny. I mean, white doesn't want to trade everything on g7, so how does he win the queen? Winslow
and Kalen.
Oh, and then there's the perk defense. Like, that's another one of those defenses. Any of those modern defenses like G6 and so Kalen Melville, you better win that pawn at C6 or you're toast.
And what do you? Yeah, go ahead.
This is tough. I don't see an easy win for white yet. Rook C1, Rook C3, and Rook A3. Why not? In the meantime, and Rook C1 also nicely defends the pawn at C6. What's black going to do? Black can try to play Rook G, and if Rook G8 threatening Rook G3, even Rook C3 defends that pawn at G3. So Rook C1 looks like the place to start. Of course, Black could play Queen B2, but that's not very defensive. And after Rook C4, White's going to play Rook A4. I don't know. Elliot lives by the seat of his pants.
And what do you think of this game here with Josiah Stearman? Because it looks like he is down upon, but he's got a
He
lot of
wasn't
pressure.
on the attack the last time we saw it.
Yeah, looks like he's putting a lot of pressure here.
And White plays E4 and Black plays H4. Wow, that's the move. White not giving White time for for taking the bishop, because if Queen takes G3 check, this is a brilliant move. I think White has to play Rook G1 here. The threat is Queen takes G3 check.
Like all of Black's pieces are concentrating towards the
Yeah,
the king over there.
very, very nicely engineered by Josiah for sure. And let's see, so Rook G1. I don't think White was counting on having to play that move. And then, I mean, Rook G1 is possible. And if HG3, Rook G3, but then Queen F4, yeah.
Checking in on that wild game we were looking at here. Shiv
And White's in
Sohal.
trouble. Nicely played attack by Josiah so far. So White plays knight H6. Oh, this threatens knight F7. Look at these pins. Incredible. Rook F8 though.
Now what?
And now Rook H5 maybe. Rook H5 probably is going to win the queen.
Oh well, yeah. Then there's that.
Well, this just repeats. Black plays Rook FG8. So White I think White should have tried Rook H5. Yeah, I don't think White can stop Rook F2 after Queen F4. In that, yeah, King G1. Yeah, King G1 maybe.
All right, let's go back to Kyron Griffith against Nicholas Wang.
Oh, Rook G4, Rook H4. That's true. Rook FG8, then Rook G4 and Rook H4. Okay, so Kyron is trying to break the protection of E7 with knight A4. So if Black wants to hang on here, he probably has to play Rook E8. That seems to be the only move. Oh no, well, I mean, Bishop F6, you can take back with the pawn. And then if Rook E7, Rook E8. So maybe Black's got a free move there that he could have played B5. I think maybe Black should have played B5 there. Bishop F6, EF6. Yeah, maybe that wasn't that great. Well, White's better here, although Black has still is cramped but safe. Kyron is so good at these kinds of positions. So.
Whoa. Check this position out with Daniel Perloff and Patrick Donnelly. It just looks like
This looks like all she wrote. Black's up a piece as well as having a strong attack. So this game is completely lost for white.
It just looks like white pieces are like completely misplaced.
Plus he's a piece down. So it's not even a contest.
Take it easy, Alan. Uh, get some rest, and we see you back next week. All right. Back to Elliot, trying to make something happen here.
He played rook c3. This looks tough for black. I'm very tough. I mean, I'm starting to wonder what black's going to do here. Rook d6, rook a3, bishop c6, queen a7 check, king c8, and then white can just trade and play queen a8 check and take the rook on g8, and then queen takes b2 is not going to work. So, because of rook d1 check. I mean, is black just lost here? All right, this is a good idea. This is a very good idea. So if rook a3, black could play bishop takes c6. And queen a7, king c8 is harmless.
Run away.
Bishop d5, though, queen takes d5, and then white can just try to play queen c4. And just, that looks like it would probably win.
And we have another result. Kyron Griffith gets this win. How is he able to? I think
something
he blundered.
Yeah, black was under pressure and somehow fell into.
He moved the knight to h5 and then left that door.
And then
open.
Just pitch. Yeah, that's tiredness.
And here we are.
Oh, that's too bad, Nicholas. Very odd. Very, very odd. Okay, I can see how this happened. This is.
And then that's where we last saw it after h4.
This is probably hopeless. I think if white takes on g6, black can.
Look at that. Yeah.
Oh, I see. White took on a7 and allowed rook d1 check earlier.
Yeah. So on his way.
Let's look at the position.
Oh, did you want to go back?
Well, I didn't get a chance to. Well, it doesn't matter. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
Well, white's done well to blockade things, and but if black can get in f5, I mean, why didn't black play f5 right away? Playing it safe first with b6, then coming up is f5. I guess it can't be stopped. So he's just preparing it.
Do you want to look back at Stearman's?
Stearman, yeah. Let's see. Just take a quick look so we can figure out what's going on.
More.
No, no, no. Oh, well, let's look at the position that's on the board at the moment.
Right now?
Yeah. No, I meant, yeah, the game as it is. So white takes on g6, and then what happens? Queen h3 check, followed by queen g3 check, and takes on g6, and then white can take on f7, but he'll lose the king and pawn ending. Is that right? So what if white plays pawn takes g6? What's he thinking about? He's got to do it anyway. So pawn takes g6, queen h3 check, king g1, queen g3 check, king h1. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out.
And check on the board.
We'll find out. I think black can take on g6 with the queen, or maybe play h3, giving white a chance to make a blunder or something, even though position's probably lost for white. You're right, he can't take on g6 with the queen. No, he could after, oh, I see. Right. White's putting up some resistance here. I'm not seeing yet the queen h3. Black's trying to take on g6 with the white king on the g file, but I don't think he can force that. King h1 or king h2, I guess.
This is not quite as easy. And Kyron's in the chat. If white gets a move, then rook takes f7. Should draw at least.
Maybe, because maybe then black could play. Oh, I see. Yeah, sure. Black has to eliminate this g pawn. This is black's problem here.
It's just,
I think, yeah, Karen's right. I mean, black either has to make a mating net, or because maybe he can distract the white bishop with b5 or something like that, and allow bishop takes f7 check.
just that
I don't know.
That bishop on c4 is protected by the pawn on b3. It's covering the rook on f1.
I'm trying to throw pawn to b5 in at some point for black,
and done
to distract the bishop. This is tough. He does it. Because if bishop takes b5, queen e5 check. So now when white plays bishop takes f7, black has a couple of moves. King g7, black has a couple of moves to try to engineer some mating thing with the rook pawn and the queen, I guess. This is a legitimate move, very strong.
Now
move.
the only thing is Daniel Lynn's got 3 minutes and a half on his clock.
Yeah, I think this is, and bishop f7, king g7, and now the threat is queen e2 check, probably an h3, or some variation of the queen and the pawn moving in together. So what's white's ideal defensive setup here? Rook g1, that's interesting. I wonder if is that real? Is that true? How do you make a fortress? I guess, is there some kind of winning? Yeah, the white bishop doesn't have a secure spot anymore. probably winning for black. I guess he does play rook g1. Interesting.
Queen f4 check.
So how does black win here?
Now it doesn't look easy at all.
Oh, so with the rook on g1, the queen can come up, the king can come up to h3. I don't know about this. White's threatening rook g4 now.
G4.
With a sure draw. If that h pawn is lost, then the black cannot win this. No. And even if white plays king h4, queen f2, king h4, queen h2 check is something to look out for. So Josiah's tricky, but I think this may be a draw now. I don't know. Queen e4, rook g4, queen h1 mate. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And we have
there's amazing mates with a queen and a pawn and minimal material. There's some really beautiful possibilities.
And
Queen f2 and h3. I don't know.
Eric Lee gets it done against Vishwa Nanaganda. So Eric Lee, 2-0.
Yeah, that's a game where the opposite colored bishops favor the attacking side for sure. Well, I finally got through.
And then a quick check-in on Jim Tarjan and David Askin.
Oh, White's managed to keep a big grip on this game here. But black has managed not to lose anything so far. Amazing. This game is really, it's been a tough one. And now the weakness, both sides have back rank weaknesses. Probably it's going to prevent white from being able to win a pawn by taking on f7. Meanwhile, black is going to have knight b2. So I don't know what's going on here.
And one quick peek at Elliot Winslow's game against Kalen Melville.
Oh, yeah. A lot of interesting games we're following. So he took the exchange, and black somehow, black got out with the bishop, but is allowed white to double on the bishop, and that's going to be the end of the game.
Problem. So let's go back to the Stearman game.
Kalen made it too easy for Elliot, I think. So everybody, with is this a win or a draw or what? He's going to Zhuang. He's going to try for the Zhuang. King h3, queen f4, rook g. King h3, queen h1, rook h2, queen f3, king h4, maybe king h6 there? Is that set up a mating net or something? Queen f5.
He played queen f5 pretty quickly, deliberately.
Well, white's also in time trouble and having to figure this out. New positions out every move is demoralizing.
And Stearman's playing so fast. He might be also trying to carry Daniel Lin a little quick.
Look at this. What is this? What's black trying to do? I'm not sure. White's just, of course, swatting the ball. I think Josiah hasn't found anything yet, obviously. He's just making moves. He's trying the first strategy, was just to get white into bad time trouble. And then it's frustrating not knowing how to finish this off, if it can be won.
And white is offered a draw.
Well, that is it's like a running joke. Actually, this is one of the running jokes of the Mechanics Institute commentary now.
You know what?
When's the draw? When is the draw offer going to come?
There might not even actually be a draw offer on the board. I'm just going to say it, and I'm just going to watch you go berserk. That's ridiculous.
Well, it's kind of a running joke. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, like, is there an ideal position that black wants to get to?
Well, let's say this position with the black queen on e4 or something like that. King h3, queen f3, check. King takes h4, and then maybe king h6, but that's not made. Actually, it does threaten queen f2 check, followed by, and yet he's tempting white to play g7, because then after king f7, g8 queen, queen takes g8, rook g8, king g8, black is going to pass over to the other side of the board. So I mean that's king f6 doesn't help black in any way. It's just a kind of it did gain a few seconds on the clock. So black's going to put his king back on g7 in a minute. Is this the last game of the round?
No, there's quite a few games still going, actually.
Did Tarzan win?
No, he's still playing. And
he's still playing. Let's take a look at that game.
Let's go to that game.
Yeah.
David Askins
this is
at 2 minutes.
Great player. Don't tell me David Askin offered a draw.
Not that I see, no.
This has been a bit of a thrill, I think. Okay, so white's like, okay, take my b2 pawn. Then I'm going to play. Rook d7, and win your f7 pawn or your b7. Black is still under pressure here, remarkably. Although, what about rook c1? I think that pretty much. Rook c1. What happened? Yeah, he plays it. Jim hasn't gotten much from this game. Rook c1, knight c1, bishop c4, trying to trap the knight, and then maybe win a pawn somehow by taking on f7. That's what white's going to do. He's going to play rook takes, knight takes, bishop c4. Probably not enough to win, but it might win a pawn if black's not careful. Like if black plays knight d3 there, then knight takes f7.
The only thing is the big difference in time.
As well, yeah.
Real quick,
I think blacks should be able to hold this. I think.
Look at this position with Guy Argo and Jonah Bush.
Speaking of Guy, yeah. Wow. Black's in trouble, obviously, here. Although queen b1, king g2, rook a1, then f6, queen h1, king h3. The white king is going to be safe on h3. Black prefers to keep the queen in the center, threatens queen e5, but f6, doesn't f6? How is black going to survive pawn to f6? It just plays to take the pawn on g7, which also protects the pawn at e5, and black gets a worthless check at g2 at a1. This is lost.
Just exposed over there.
Yeah, e6 is a threat. This is real. E6 is a terrible threat.
Back to this game here.
The attack crashes. Looks like it's crashing through. Okay. So Josiah is having a long think.
And he has the time to do it, but he has Daniel Lynn under a minute now.
I mean, why did black move the king to e7? That's not going to help, I don't think. It just makes it more confusing probably for yourself. I mean, white's basic idea of playing the rook back and forth on the g file is not going to change, probably. So,
and where do you think things went wrong in this game? Because he was up material. It looked like he was going to finish him off, and then just all of a sudden.
Well, we weren't, I mean, it was a complex position. We were only sort of we never really found a knockout blow for Josiah or a completely sound defensive plan for white. So here we are, I mean, it's possible. Well, now white's threatening g7. If the black queen is off the back row, white suddenly threatens g7. So. Oh, maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true, actually, because queen takes rook, king takes queen, king takes bishop. So, or white can just keep moving the rook back and forth. This might be a draw.
That would be a upset for sure. Another game that's a lot tighter than probably would have expected is Jim Tarjan and David Askin.
Yeah, no, we've been following that game. That's actually been a bit of a boring game. All right, so now both players have taken pawns. This is definitely an equal position. That kudos to David Askin for just playing a sound game. I've never seen white with really much,
and he's a pretty solid player too,
in
right?
this game.
He's even at the TNMs. He's always been pretty.
I don't see how this game is anything more than a draw.
Let's go check on Elliot Winslow's game while he's still playing. And here we have another rook bishop trying to fend off the queen.
How about that?
Hey, you got your next article.
Yeah, this is crazy. These are very complex. This position looks winning for white. Just because, here I am blabbing about that. I don't know. This is again a nice, strong block. Even if white takes the f7 pawn, black just puts a bishop on g4, and then how's white going to win? White has to pick up a piece right now. Otherwise, I don't see how white's. Oh, and he's going to do it, right? He's close to doing it.
What he needed to do.
No blockade now with bishop to g4. White has chances here.
What he needed to do was get the bishop to g4 and then put the rook on a square where the bishop's protecting it.
Yeah, and it would have been an easy draw. I don't know if he was able to do it, but now white's broken the blockade, and this might be a win now for white.
And let's go back to Stearman's game. because Daniel Lin is under 20 seconds now. He's under 10 seconds.
Rook h2, queen f1 mate is embarrassing. Oh, maybe the white rook has to go to h7. Rook h7, do it. What else? Rook h7. Oh, that's going to probably lose the rook.
And he lost on time.
Yeah, that loses the rook. And queen e1 and queen d2 check. Why didn't he play the rook to a square where it's defended?
And what happened? Because things got complex for him all of a sudden. And
well, you still have to play rook h7. Black's done nothing but lose his h pawn. And this is just completely cheap. Yeah.
So he
sorry, not cheap. I mean, it was a good try. So keep going.
Taking there.
So white wins wins the pawn. And then puts the question after king h1, where are you going to go with your rook? And the rook h7, it's protected. I can't believe black has anything after that.
It's funny how like one little subtle move sort of changed everything.
Well, you're putting your rook on a square where it can be 1 and 2 moves. Queen e1 and queen d2 check. It's just
the patience from Stearman too to kind of wait this out and let like an opportunity.
King f6 is a clever try, but rook h7 looks like it would hold easily.
And in the game chat, Daniel was asking Josiah rook h8. Rook h8 would have been better.
Yeah, rook h8 too, because the queen can't attack it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. On h6, it's incredibly vulnerable.
And back to the Jim Tarjan game, he has David Askin at 10 seconds left.
Yeah. Funny chess. I mean, white's been, better the whole game, but by such a microscopic amount. So, nothing much has changed. Still an equal game. Bishop c4. The knight end game would be equal too, I think.
Moving on.
Should be fine. This is just Tarjan's trying here, but
this one looks.
There's still ways for it to be. Wow. Yeah. That's it. Queen f7, queen c7 check.
And Giargo gets it done.
Well.
Back to Elliot.
That's an upset, huh? Yeah, I mean, by rating.
They're pretty close, actually. They're pretty close. And Elliot picked up that crucial pawn on the king side.
Oh, wow. Yeah, well, black has a snowball's chance here.
And here's a game between Jeffrey Wang, who played a really good game against Kyron Griffith. How did
Kyron do this round again?
He won.
Yeah, that's right.
Nicholas Wang. He hung. King and rook fork. Yeah.
Right. Whoa, this is a dramatic looking game, isn't it?
Look at that. Like on both sides.
Yeah. I guess black should be better here with the pawns all about to queen. What about b2? Followed by making a queen. Yeah, the white's lost here. Easy as pie. rook takes rook, and then b1 queen.
That's it. Jeffrey Wang picks up the win.
Jeffrey Wang is a good player.
Yeah, very solid.
Yep.
And now Tarjan, they're both under 10 seconds. Tarjan offers a draw.
Which game is that? Oh, okay.
Wow, David Askin declined the draw.
Playing for the loss.
Holy cow. Wow. Both players offered draws.
Oh, knight f5 check in 93 was so much better than knight h5. Oh, still, white. I'm not sure what exactly white's going to take. This is going to be a draw if black can win the f pawn. Oh, why didn't white play knight? Oh, black can't play king f5.
There's no way to cover up. Yeah. Nice draw.
White, yeah, well,
David Askin.
should be a draw.
And I believe that is all the games of the round. Wow, that was.
Well, Jim missed some chances to win that in the scramble.
Yeah, I think
knight h5 was a mistake. Knight f5 check in 93 was knight f5 and 93 would have been a comfortable win.
All games are done for round 2. Very shortly, we should have the updated standings. For round 2 of the Tuesday night marathon.
All right, folks.
That was some interesting games, especially with the rook and bishop against queen. And I think Kalen might have missed an opportunity to build a nice fortress there. Do you think the building of fortresses is something that club players generally? There's not much practice for that, right? You sort of have to know.
I mean, it's like any, the thing about club players, I guess, is that they know some things and they don't know other things. And, everyone has a smattering of knowledge. And that's basically my story, and I'm going to stick to it. I mean, me too. There's things that I know and that I don't know, and but fortresses is something that it's a concept that you'll come across in commentary, from reading chess books. So, and seeing games. There's, Karyakin trying to make a fortress against Carlsen, succeeding in making a fortress and in one of their world championship games. There's lots of examples of fortresses. It's a key concept in defensive technique,
Yeah,
different fortresses.
And we saw one in the amateur team where Ryan Tagazade used a rook knight fortress against Jennifer Yu that held. So
yeah, apparently he could have kept playing. She could have kept playing on at the end of that.
And we should have quite a few players at 2 points. Lenderman, Gadir, Kyron, Josiah, Eric Lee, Elliot. Those would be the players.
So we're going to get We're going to get some real excitement
Yeah, I mean,
next Tuesday.
I think rounds 3 and 4 is going to be a lot of excitement. And Judith said it is posted, so I am looking. With 2 points in the top section, Alexander Lenderman, Gadir Gusainov, Kyron Griffith, Josiah Stearman, Eric Lee, and Elliot Winslow. 6 players with 2. And then a few players at 1.5, Jim Tarjan, David Askin, Guy Argo, and no, 3 players with 1.5. Um, so, I mean, look what you're dealing with these 6. Elliot, Eric Lee, Stearman, Griffith, Gusainov, and Lenderman.
Yeah,
Like,
we're going to see some great matchups.
and in the bottom section,
Are the pairings done by chess.com ratings or by USCF?
USCF ratings. The higher of your online rating, regular, or of your standard regular rating.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So Stearman must be at the top of the ladder here.
Yeah, he's 2491 rated.
Oh, I mean, he was 26 something on chess.com.
Oh, yeah, that's chess.com rating. And in the bottom section, we have Patrick Donnelly, Nursultan Uzakbayev, Marina Zhao, Jahan Ansari, who we know from the live marathon, Michael Zhao, and Sebi Suarez, all with 2 points
How
going
about that?
into next week. So Action Chess next week at the Mechanics Institute. I'm sure there will be some games to write about for sure. All right, Paul.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.
Fantastic. And last shout out to Judith. Thank you for all you do in the back room, managing the tournament. And we will be back on Thursday as Grandmaster Nick DeFermian has his arena. And we will see you on Tuesday night of next week as we bring what should be a very exciting round 3 and 4 of the Tuesday night marathon. And I think we have Chess Dojo and some end game training with David Pruis.
Oh, that should be worthwhile.
So we're gonna send everyone there. Go get some end game training if you're not in the end game lab of Paul Whitehead. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us, and enjoy the Chess Dojo with David Pruis.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.